Hello and welcome back to the British Football Guy. This episode is a Getting Paid to Poop episode, and we're going to talk about last minute fantasy football drafts and also maybe some of the best names that you can take for your draft team going into the 2021 season. But to start off, I do have some breaking news. Last night, I got a text from my buddy Cam, who lives in Boston. And he said, "Hey Ollie, you up?" I was like, "Yeah, I'm up, Cam. What's going on?" So he FaceTimed me, and Cam was like, "Ollie, I had a chat with Bill, and I've decided to leave the New England Patriots." I was like, "Cam, that seems really bold. What's kind of led you to that decision?" So, well, you did an advertisement placement for my hats and cigar lounge in Charlotte. I was like, "Oh yeah, I did do that. How did that go?" I said, "Mate, it went terrifically." He said there were so many British Football Guy codes that were coming in. So I've decided to quit football for now. And I'm going to open up a new store. I was like, "Oh man, that's amazing." But again, it seems a bit brash, since, you don't make too much money from these cigar lounges, and not many people are really into hats anymore. It's more of a kind of like an 18th, 19th century type of thing. Cam goes, no, it's coming back, Ollie, it's coming back. So, okay, cool. So I said, well, let's have a look at stores. Where are you thinking about maybe moving? Which cities will potentially take you? And we're looking at New York, because they don't have too many hat stores. The ones that they do aren't too good. Miami, they have a young hat store, but it's not really too known. And then finally in Dallas, they have a hat store that's not that reliable. So yeah, there's some options. So Cam, don't worry about him. He's got a plan. And again, that website is www.camnewtonshats.com. And if you use British Football Guy, you now get a 25% off code for your first purchase. So that was big news from Cam. So other than that, today it's just me. Ben is traveling, and actually Logan, it's his birthday today. So shout out to Logan. Logan is turning 28 today, I believe, or 29. But not many people know this about Logan, but he is a huge Celine Dion fan. And his wife is taking him to Las Vegas today and this weekend so he can see Celine Dion in concert. Sounds like a dream. I wish I could go too. So let's talk about... firstly, let's talk about Fantasy League names. So I always stick with one now. Keeps it simple, and I go with the London Spitfires, and I'm across 4 leagues this year. I actually call it London Spitfires because I think it's an Overwatch is the game. And it's one of these pro esports team, and it's actually a really sweet logo that they have. So London Spitfires, it keeps the British element of it. It just sounds badass. Shame it's not a soccer team or the football team, an NFL future team. We'll see. So I always go for London Spitfires, but my wife, she's got Turned Down for What and Party Like a Gronk Star. Definitely going with the big music anthems in her names. But yeah, I don't like to change them too much. However, these are some of the best ones that I've heard around in no particular order. Guns and Rosen. Obviously, Josh Rosen features on our show quite a lot. And I actually saw him. He played for the Falcons in a preseason game. Typical Josh Rosen style. We'll see if he lasts. He'll probably work his way through all 32 teams. So Guns and Rosen. McLaurin F1. I'm a big motorsports fan, so I like that one. One of my personal favourites, Jake Fromm, State Farm. If anybody of you followed Georgia college football, Jake Fromm was a quarterback. I have no idea where he is now, but I'm guessing he's in the NFL. How I Metcalf Your Mother. Big fan of Metcalf, DK, so yeah, big fan of that one. Born Tua, Be Wild. There is about 40,000 different combos that you can have with Tua. So yeah, have fun with that one. Godwin Bless the USA. I do like Godwin, so Chris Godwin is one of my favourite wide receivers, so that's a nice option. And then Dobbins is a free elf. He really is. He's free from this season at least. And Catalina Wine Mixon. This one just makes me tickle. That is a special one. And my personal favourite is License to Khalil. Big James Bond fan. So those are some options if you still haven't got your team name and it just says John's average team or John's shitty team, Jake's dyslexic team. They're kind of the NFL or the Yahoo fantasy leagues that they put you. So some options there. So let's talk about, last minute picks. And so I've done 3 fantasy drafts so far this season, and they've gone okay. So when we talked about the previews, there's only one that's kind of lined up, and that was the first one that I did on something like ridiculous July 8th for the neighborhood league. And it was a really good team. The kind of the matchup I have is Matt Stafford and Cooper Kupp. I do have DK on that team, but I couldn't get Russ Wilson. He got picked two times, 2 picks ahead of mine when I was just about to take him. So very frustrated. In the other leagues, it's been a little bit all over the shop. And again, I think it's really important when you do draft to be flexible and adaptable. Have a general idea of what you want to do and where you want to go. Kind of do mock drafts and see where these players go. But if you're in kind of some of the newer leagues where you have some rogue picks, Pat Mahomes goes at number 1, it actually changes a lot, and then you have to be adaptable to that. So I'm actually first pick in the big league that I play in. So it's $100 in, 12 teams, the one that I won last year, and really want to retain that because it's never been retained before. And I'm first pick, so obviously easy choice McCaffrey in there. And I'm looking at where other people are coming. Now, running backs are, they have to be a priority because they are a rarity, especially at the higher level. This league is also a 3 wide receiver and a flex. Now, the 3 wide receiver doesn't worry me too much, but I do want to make sure I've got at least 2 good running backs and an average one. So I've got McCaffrey. Now, with the news that DK Dobbins is a free elf, DK Dobbins, JK Dobbins is a free elf, it does change things. So he was kind of, for my second pick, it was going to be him, Clyde Edwards-Helaire, or Dobbins available. Sorry, dog's back in order. Bloody dogs. So that changes things. So it's like Chris Carson available. Do you go down to Josh Jacobs? So what happens with J.K. Dobbins now he's gone? Gus Edwards, he's a power back, so it doesn't really make sense to pick him. Check out this. Todd Gurley. Todd Gurley, for the first 9 games last season, did pretty well until he lost both of his kneecaps again. He's found them, so again, he might have 5 games. So keep an eye on Todd Gurley because the Ravens don't have much else going on. So that was a big one. Other one to be conscious of, look at DeAndre Swift. I've been reading him on the injury reports. He gets drafted quite high, and he had a ridiculous fantasy points. Something like 300 plus, which is huge. But again, just what's coming out of the Lions is that they're saying that he's, kind of almost like week by week. I think it was Michael Thomas last year, or it's somebody, and it was really just cryptic. AJ Green was the same as well. What week he thought he could come back and just didn't come back. So DeAndre Swift, don't necessarily waste that pick. Jamal Williams is the backup. Now, Jamal Williams, you might remember from TV shows like How I Met Your Mother and Friends as a backup. No, but he should be on there. Jamal Williams, search his interviews on YouTube. He just talks about Frozen, just the Disney movie, just random things, but he's a really funny guy. But he's a really great athlete, and he did very well as a backup to Aaron Jones at Green Bay. So, could be a lot of upside, especially later on in the picks. Have a look at bringing Jamal Williams in. Whilst we're on, well, where do we go from here? So those are the 2 running back kind of questions. And again, Saquon. I think they're wrapping up in Cotton Wool, so I'm sure he's going to be fine. But they do talk about how they're going to ease him in. With Daniel Jones, I don't know if they can ease him in, but I think he's still a high liability. Think about Todd Gurley. 2 or 3 seasons ago, he was a number 1 pick. It was 3 seasons ago. And now, he's a forgotten man. I don't have the machine, so I can't do the crickets, but he's becoming a forgotten man. It's like Devonta Freeman. Same thing. Atlanta, everybody seems to go to Atlanta Falcons to retire. They don't even have that many good retirement homes down there. So, think about that for Saquon. Potential risk. Okay, where do we talk? Well, let's take this to wide receiver. So running backs, get them early and get them hard, maybe is a term. Josh Jacobs, Miles Gaskin, there's some good value there. I believe it's Javonte Williams in Denver Broncos. He's a good running back that I think is going to have a big year. Just because Melvin Gordon, he's going to have a meltdown, a melv down. And he's probably not going to stay at the Broncos. So I think Broncos are going to be a bit of a dark horse. No pun intended. All right, so let's talk about other players that are on the kind of the radar. Michael Thomas, the Saints have an early bye week, and if he is actually fit to play, he could come back and only miss 5 weeks. With his upside, he's worth picking down the line, especially if it's a tight league, because he could be the difference maker. One thing that I've been looking at, I've picked up Kyle Pitts in 2 out of the 3 leagues for my fantasy. And it's not like we're giving you any seminal information. Everybody knows Kyle Pitts is kind of like the hot shit. But I'm a little bit concerned. He is a rookie, and the value and where I picked him was quite high. You wait around later, you get TJ Hawkinson. Well, I didn't really know much about TJ Hawkinson, except that he was on the Lions. Have a look at his pictures on Google, because the man looks different in every single picture. Looks a little bit like Igor from Frankenstein. But anyway, apologize, TJ. You apologize, TJ. You probably didn't need that. I'm sure you're a lovely guy and looks aren't everything. But he is a terrific tight end, and because they don't have that many weapons for Jared Goff, he could be a really top end tight end. So have a look at TJ Hawkinson. Now, not many people know this about the Detroit Lions, but they actually have the Egyptian sun god in their depth chart for wide receivers. That's right. Amon-Ra is a wide receiver this year for the Detroit Lions. And he actually went to USC. I didn't know he even had a college degree. But yeah, the Egyptian god of sun is at Detroit Lions this year, which should help out since he does wield the power of the sun and the solar system. And after last season, they will need it. I also didn't know he had a last name. And it's St. Brown. So he's a god with a saint's name. So Amon-Ra St. Brown. So this kid coming out of USC. They don't really have many options after letting Kelly Golladay. Sounds like something from Pornhub. Kenny Golladay is now with the Giants. So yeah, Amon-Ra St. Brown. You can't forget that name, and you can pick him pretty deep into a draft, even if it's a 12 or 14 league. So that is a kind of a later one. Get this one. Jalen Waddle from Miami Dolphins. Waddle was one of the Alabama top wide receivers. Really strong kid. I'm excited to see him play. He is like in the 9th or 10th round you can get this guy. So he's some really good value. I've picked Deebo Samuel in the last couple of seasons. He didn't really get fit last year, but when he did play well. But Deebo Samuel, I think he's in for a big year. Raheem Mostert, just on that note, he's picked up a bit of an injury, back pain in preseason, so stay away from Raheem for now. But Deebo Samuel is a good option, as well as Brandon Ayuk on the 49ers. The other, I guess, last 2 players that I think I'll talk about that you should be looking for, Jerry Jeudy. His performances in preseason have been really strong, and Cortland Sutton just hasn't come back from his injury well. So Jerry Jeudy looks like he'll be number 1 option. So really good option as a flex, or maybe wide receiver 2, depending on how he does. And then Callaway. And Callaway is he is for the Saints. Don't know why I looked at the street there. I knew it was there. So if you're thinking about getting him and Michael Thomas, you're covered on that for Jameis Winston. Jameis Winston likes to throw to anybody. So hopefully it just lands on the Saints and Callaway will be end. Final one, because there's one that I forgot. Mike Williams for the Chargers. He's only 26. If he's not even younger than that, I feel around he's been like for a decade or 2. He's a really good catcher of the ball. And he's not that injury prone, though. He's coming off an injury. But Mike Williams is, again, if you're in these deeper leagues for wide receivers, you can get so much value. Just concentrate on the running backs. So those are my last minute tips. Godspeed or Godwin speed for you in the drafts. Write in, let me know if you've got any questions for the British Football Guy team for fantasy. We'll probably give you some terrible advice, but at least we appreciate the mail. Join us again next week. We're going to be back with Ben, and we are going to be talking about the best forfeits and the worst forfeits for finishing bottom of your fantasy football league. We'll see you then.